Following guidelines on the assessment for A-level, and we are in the subject-specific presentations beginning Friday. We welcome all of you, our key stakeholders, especially the teachers, who are the key implementers of the assessment guidelines we are putting in place. So we will have two major sessions today, and we are going to begin with the technical subjects, and that is technical drawing, woodwork, and metalwork, before we go into economics in this first major session. So we welcome the teachers of TD, metalwork, and woodwork, and any other teacher who may feel they need this session for their own understanding, because the framework is the same, but with key specific information particular to the subjects, especially on the assessment objectives, the key constructs that will form the assessment, and the items and how they will appear in the end of cycle assessment. So allow me straight away, without taking time, throw you to the presentation from Kato, who is the specialist for those subjects. But this is a reminder to all of us. We'll have many more presentations of a type, and we ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we shall be depositing or posting or uploading such information on our channel from time to time. So without further ado, allow me call upon Kato to take us in the first session of the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, our viewers. I welcome you to this presentation on the assessment guidelines for the advanced level education. My name is Mayo Kato. I'm a specialist at the curriculum at the National Career Development Center. On this, we shall have an online presentation for teachers of technical drawing, woodwork, and metalwork. Our session outcome is that by the end of the session, participants should be able to appreciate the nature of the test items used to assess learner achievement under the adapted competence-based advanced secondary curriculum. Technical drawing, woodwork, and metalwork are the engineering craft subjects done at advanced secondary curriculum level currently in Uganda. The competences of learners who have offered these subjects will be assessed by UNEB, basing on the NCDC aligned syllabi rolled out in 2025. I'll start with the technical drawing. Technical drawing in this assessment will focus on evaluating learners' ability to apply drawing principles, conventions, and spatial reasoning to practically solve real-life problems, communicate engineering-related ideas clearly, and demonstrate readiness for further technical education and related careers. To do this assessment, we have developed constructs and assessment objectives for the subject. We have 4 assessment objectives, and these yield into 4 constructs, from which a number of topics were picked to address each construct. Our first assessment objective is to create drawings by applying projection techniques and geometrical constructions to communicate practical engineering solutions addressing community needs. And to do that, the construct responsible is that of the application of geometric and spatial skills. And under it, we are realizing that we have we have topics, that is projection of solids, surface development, and intersection of solids. Now, when you look at these topics, when you say 1, 4, and 7, this goes back to our syllabus books. In the syllabus, the topics have been numbered accordingly. So when we see projection of solids as topic 1, that means that is the first topic we're expecting to see in your syllabus book. The second assessment objective is that of determining that the learners will be able to determine the behavior of structures and applied loads to inform the design of appropriate structure members in the beams and frameworks. And the topic set out to do that is that on force analysis. And you're seeing that the topics in this construct are 8 and 6, and that is vector geometry. Topic 8 is existing for the building aspect, and the mechanical construction aspect with it. When you check in the syllabus, it is going to be topic 6. The third objective is to create engineering drawings of mechanical components and systems that comply with industry standards. And the construct responsible for that is that of mechanical drafting and assembly. The topics therein, we have machine drawing, and then we have topic 3 and 4, that is the power transmission systems. Now, when we are saying 3 and 4, we'll find that topic 3 may be existing in one term, but in the second term, there are other parts of power transmission systems that you're going to find in a subsequent term. Therefore, that's why you're seeing topic 3 and topic 4. So when you go to the syllabus document, you realize that topic 3 is existing in one of the terms, but in the other term, it is continued as topic 4. We also have assessment objective 4, which is for the learners to integrate architectural and building construction principles to design and construct essential components of bungalow buildings, that is single floor, not more than 6 rooms. Colleagues, that is our target, that should not exceed 6 rooms at this level, in alignment with clients' needs and community priorities. So architectural and building construction practices is the construct that has been said to be responsible for addressing the assessment objective. And the topics therein, we have topic 2 and 3, which is foundations and floors. And then we have topic 5, which is wall designing, and we have roofs and building drawing as topic 9. When you check in your syllabus documents, you'll find that the arrangement of the topics in the syllabus was set in that order. The structure of technical drawing assessment papers, there will be 3 assessment papers in technical drawing, and we shall have the first paper as geometrical drawing. That will be our paper 1. we have a sample assessment paper for TD paper 1 as exists. You can check that we have one which says a security company is planning to construct a uniport structures using sheet metal. Each structure features a roof composed of 4 panels which are connected to a wall that transitions into a circular base, and the figure is given. And when you check on the question, the task, it requires us to produce the drawings needed by the fabricator. Figure 1 is shown. So when you check on the assessment rubric for TD paper 1, it gives us the nature in which we are going to assess this paper, and it gives us our output, and output expects us to produce geometrical drawings. Now, the basis of assessment, we have a number of bases. One is the views, then development of developments, isometric, auxiliary views, curves of interpenetration, and so many. But remember that these bases are only supposed to be taken on dependent on the nature of the item that has been provided. So it may not be that all what you've written here as bases is going to be considered in a particular setting, in a particular item. So you have to look at the question paper, and then the item that you've obtained, to select the assessment, the basis of assessment that are going to be addressed. Now, for a learner to score 4, in addition to the construction lines and outlines, a learner comprehensively presents at least 4 over 5 of the procedures required in coming up with a complete product that is fit for purpose. Now, when we are to say that in addition to construction lines and outlines, we are sure that no drawing is going to be made without lines. So the first thing we are going to be having are the lines. So these are the basic things that we want to look at. And then the rubric continues, addressing the learners at different stages. Like you see, for person scoring 3 has a general presentation, while for the one who is to score 2, presents part of what is required. And then when you're seeing the learner who is supposed to score 1, we're saying in addition to construction lines, a learner presents less than a fifth of the procedures, expressing limited drawing skills, and the made product is not fit for purpose. That's when we shall score a learner 1. We also got a sample of a theory assessment paper for TD paper 2. Now recall that we have TD paper 2 and TD paper 3, but we are choosing samples which are going to be representative of other papers. Now for paper 2, the sample paper is as shown, and the tasks requires us to analyze the fault in writing, and in writing propose design solutions for the component that will restore alignment and prevent lateral movement at the joint. Now when you look at that task, the learner needs to study the entire question and looks out for what he wants or what he's supposed to document. So our assessment rubric is a write-up on mechanical faults, and the bases are many. We have a basis. The basis on concepts of mechanical concepts, and we have a basis on mechanical fasteners, power transmission sketches, and then power transmission operations, mechanical failures, and also maintenance procedures. So we expect that the learner, we expect that after getting this assessment, the assessment item, not all of these bases are going to be assessed whenever there is an item that has been said, but those that are responsible for addressing that assessment item will be considered or be taken. So we may not see that the solution requires a learner to bring at all times mechanical fasteners, sketches, operations, failures, and machine maintenance, but we shall be having a choice depending on the item that has been said. The learner, when you look at the learner who scores 4, we are saying this learner comprehensively explains the mechanical concepts required in the task and gives at least 4 over 5 of the detailed indicators of the designed mechanical concepts of the task and establishes a logical connection of the concepts. So we shall find that, and the rest as they proceed, we shall find that if at all there is no logical connection of what you provided, then we shall be having a flow of what is going to be what is being explained. So we have also obtained another also a sample assessment item for TD paper 3. In the same vein, this assessment item is also going to be explained, or the rubric for it is going to follow the nature of the assessment rubric that has been provided for mechanical paper 2. Members, at this time, we are going to have a break and we shall come back and continue with the other subjects. Thank you.
The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us.
Okay, welcome back. At this moment, we want to talk about woodwork. Like technical drawing, we are looking at woodwork. Woodwork in this assessment will focus on evaluating learners' ability to apply woodworking knowledge, drawing and practical skills to design and make woodwork products that meet client needs safely and responsibly. For woodwork, we shall have one assessment objective, and this assessment objective will be to integrate woodworking concepts and skills to design and make woodwork products that meet clients' needs using appropriate tools and materials while adhering to the safety and environmental standards. And this assessment objective is addressed by 2 constructs, and the first construct is woodwork production, while the other is woodwork concepts and design. Under woodwork production, we realize that we have a number of topics, and again I repeat that these topics are the way they have been arranged within the syllabus document. The first topic being workshop layout and safety, timber technology, design and drawing, carcass construction, that is topic 5, then domestic and public furniture. You'd find that when you come to construct the second construct, which is woodwork concepts and design, that the topics, some of these topics seem to be repeated, but as we go along, you realize that this construct is addressing the practical aspect, that even if they do appear in the first construct, but they come out as practice. So the structure of woodwork assessment papers There will be 2 assessment papers for woodwork at the advanced secondary curriculum, and both papers will address the same assessment objective and will be based on the 2 constructs, that is woodwork design and drafting and woodwork production. Paper 1, woodwork design, will be woodwork design and will be scenario based and will have a duration of 3 hours, and the paper will consist of 2 items. Item 1 will assess drafting skills, while item 2 will assess woodworking concepts. Whereas when it comes to paper 2, which is woodwork practical, the woodwork practical will assess learners' practical skills and will also include a continuous assessment component. So at the end of cycle, practical paper will be scenario based and will last 3 hours and 15 minutes, and this paper will assess both the process and the product. So we don't expect that this paper, for this paper, that you are going to come out once and you see the paper and then you send the product as it had been earlier. This time it should be that the assessors will look at the learner from the time when he's doing the paper until when the product is out. So they'll assess both the process and the product. We have a sample for this paper, and it's saying we have Bright Care Health Center is setting up a new consultation room to improve patient privacy and comfort, and the plan is to install a durable match-boarded wooden door shutters using timber and other materials already on site. To find the right woodworker, that is as the question proceeds, then when you go to the task, it requires learner to make a prototype of the encircled part. Now, making this will require us to follow in a number of bases, whereas the final output we need is an article or the final product will be a wooden article. To do that, in the first place, in the ideation stage, we expect the learners to have a number of bases, and the bases are as given. One was to generate drawings of a write-up on the articles in the scenario. That is isometric sketches, names joints required in the scenario, and then suggests a scale for prototyping. Now we find that the number of bases that have been indicated here, however, these bases are all going to be dependent on what the task requires in the scenario that has been provided. So it may not be that all of them are going to be addressed. We shall address them according to the task. So a learner scores 4 when he names and produces comprehensive proportional drawings in context with the scenario that inform the product. And the scores cascade downwards as seen and as will be provided to you in the assessment guidelines. When you look at the process or the body, again, in the same assessment, we're seeing that the bases are given as the learner follows made drawings during the production, during production to the suggested scale, and then uses appropriate tools, utilizes provided material, ensures safety during production, and those are the bases that have been provided. And as earlier said, it follows suit that the scenario will dictate the basis to address as you are coming up with your rubric. Members, we can now shift to Metalwork. Metalwork in this assessment will focus on evaluating learners' ability to apply metalworking knowledge, drawings, and practical skills to design and make metalwork products that meet clients' needs safely and responsibly. Metalwork assessment objectives and constructs Also, for Metalwork, we have 2 assessment objectives, and the first assessment objective is that of designing metalwork products and analyze materials and tools to ensure safe fabrication in accordance with established procedures. This assessment objective is going to be addressed by construct, which is design, innovation, and analysis, and the topics therein will be engineering materials, metal fabrication, and foundry design processes. While for the second objective, which is making metalwork products using suitable resources while ensuring compliance with the health, safety, and environmental standards. That one is going to be addressed by metal fabrication and production as a construct. And the topics are there enlisted. We have the metal fabrication processes. We have, in brackets, we are putting arc welding and fasteners. Then topic 4 is metal fabrication processes. In products, we're putting gas welding, brazing, and soldering. Then we have foundry, sand casting, and foundry fettling processes. The structure of metalwork also has, like we said earlier, it has 2 papers. The paper, we have paper 1, which is metalwork design, and items in this paper will be picked from construct 1, which is the design, innovation, and analysis, and then paper 2. This paper will also be drawn from construct 2, which is metalwork, which is metal fabrication and production. It will also have continuous assessment, which will contribute to the end of cycle. Now for paper 1, which is metalwork design, this is a theory paper, and we expect to have 2 assessment items. And for metalwork practical, we shall have 1. Members, to provide a good assessment of the learners, teachers should reflect on the objectives of assessing the subject. Understand the constructs and the topics included in each. Follow guidance on the structure of the assessment papers. Develop analytic scoring rubrics to evaluate learners' responses. When these are put in place, we shall have a better assessment for our learners. I now want to end here. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life.
Hello. I have some questions. I'll start with one. Does TD paper 2 and paper 3 have a practical? We don't have a practical for TD paper 2 and paper 3. We talked about a continuous assessment. There was another. I want to inquire about whether practicals would be assessed. That is the same question, which has been answered. And one is asking on the clarity need. That's on TD paper 3. You have not given us what is considered in the construct. I want to go back to, can we go back to construct? to the construct. I want to go back to that area. So you were saying that we've not given you what is included in assessment objective 4, and we are seeing that it is architectural and building construction practices. The topics therein are clear. We have the foundations and the floors, wall designing, roofs, and building drawing. Those are the topics. When you check in your syllabus, these topics are embedded. As I wait for more questions. If we have no, please raise questions if you have more questions. I think there are no questions seen. I want to thank you for listening to me, and please stay on and wait for the next subjects. Thank you.
Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life. Did you know that some of the science equipment used in Ugandan schools is designed and produced right here at the National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC? We strengthen the practical teaching of science and technology across Uganda's education system by designing and producing local science and technology equipment using locally available materials whenever possible. This approach makes practical learning affordable, accessible, and sustainable for schools across the country. Science equipment requires maintenance. STEP provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. Learning science should never stop due to broken equipment. STEPD provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. The department also conducts in-service training for science teachers and technicians. They are trained in proper operation, safe handling, servicing and repair, safe storage of equipment. Empowering teachers means empowering learners. STEP carries out research and development in educational equipment design to ensure that Ugandan students gain access to relevant, appropriate, and practical science skills. Innovation begins with hands-on experience. Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank you for your patience, and we want to thank Kato for the comprehensive presentation of our technical subjects, TD, Metalwork, and Woodwork. We are happy to receive good feedback that they were clear. For example, I can see a member saying TD is now clear, meaning the information has reached home. We would like to ask you to continue sending in your questions. We want to make sure that we respond to all the questions or any other matters that may arise from the presentations from whichever subject. Please ask. We'll make sure that we gather all these questions and put them together, and we have answers sent to you, either through a chat or while the specialists give presentations. We shall keep answering one by one. There is a key question somebody is putting across regarding PE at A level. Maybe in our earlier submissions and presentations, we said this is an aligned curriculum. The subjects that were not part of this old curriculum at A level, we are not considered in the alignment. So PE is one of those, and they were asking when will it be. So in the current reviews that are ongoing, like the manager mentioned last time, it will be considered for the next review of A level. So we would like to ask you to continue throwing in such perturbing questions here and there, and we ensure that we give feedback that is appropriate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would like to announce that from 2 onwards, that is the session after lunch, we'll have subjects chemistry, C.R.E, I.R.E, art and design, presented after lunch. So we would like to ask you to inform your colleagues, especially the teachers of those subjects mentioned: history, I.R.E, C.R.E, art and design, to prepare to listen in and also giving their feedback. So allow me at this point in time take you to Chirinya Stephen, who will be presenting economics and the assessment guidelines for economics at A level. Thank you so much for being on the call. We encourage you to invite even other colleagues to join in as we continue. Thank you so much. Over to now Chirinya Stephen for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joseph, for this wonderful modulation. As Joseph has said, my name is Stephen Chirinya, and I'm going to take you through the assessment guidelines for economics at advanced level. This is economics, and I want to welcome all the teachers, the economists from different agencies that are tuning in to see how the economics at advanced secondary level is to be assessed. Why assess economics at A level? Economics is assessed at A level aims at determining the learner's ability to analyze and interpret economic concepts in relation to how individuals, businesses, and governments make decisions about the use of scarce resources, to promote economic stability, growth, and sustainable development at national and global levels. That is the major focus as to why economics at advanced secondary level is to be assessed. Now let us dwell through the linkage between assessment objectives, constructs, and the syllabus. So economics, as manager presented on Friday, will have 4 constructs. Our first construct will be resource allocation. One may want to ask, why do we need to assess resource allocation? The rationale for assessing it is the assessment objective, and this is to determine learners' ability on how they apply economic concepts and analyze data on market behavior, households, consumption, and fundamental economic problems to make informed decisions and promote efficient resource allocation for person and community development. The topics that were amalgamated to form these constructs are introduction to economics and price theory. When you critically analyze our syllabus for economics A level, you will appreciate that introduction to economics is topic 1, while price theory is topic 2. Our second construct is economic strategy. Why do we need to assess this? This is the assessment objective for this second construct. The objective is to analyze and apply sustainable economic strategies related to economic growth, including interpretation of development theories and strategies, and the promotion of international trade. The topics that were merged to come up with this construct called economic strategy, we have economic growth, economic development, and development theories. We also have economic development strategies and international trade. These topics are clearly arranged as they appear in our syllabus book for A-level economics. Economic growth, economic development, and development theories is our topic 5. Economic development strategies is our topic 6, while international trade is topic 10 in that syllabus document. Our third construct is economic planning and policy. This aims at analyzing and interpreting economic policies and trends that support economics, with particular reference to money and banking, inflation, public finance and fiscal policy, national income and development planning. The topics that were brought together, whose learning outcomes as well as whose competences that were merged from this construct. We have national income, which is topic 4 in our syllabus document. Public finance and fiscal policy, it is topic 9. Money, banking, and inflation is topic 8. Economic development planning is topic 11 when you critically analyze our syllabus. Our fourth construct is population and labor dynamics for production. This one aims at examining population growth, age structure, and labor force trends in relation to production capacity and employment opportunities in an economy. Topics that were merged to form this construct, we have production and market structures, which is topic 3 in our syllabus document. The other topic is topic 7, that is population, labor unions, and employment. So our viewers and those listening in, those are the 4 constructs that the economics assessment guidelines will have at A level, the assessment objectives, as well as the topics that were brought together to form those various constructs. Allow me now take us through the structure of the assessment papers. I know majority of us, we have been waiting to see how economics at A level will be assessed. So there will be two scenario-based assessment papers in economics at A level. So let us first dwell into paper 1. Paper 1 shall be divided into two sections, i.e. section A and section B. Section A shall consist of two compulsory items. All items in this section shall be drawn from construct 1, which is resource allocation. Section B of paper 1 shall consist of 3 items from which a candidate shall be required to choose 2 items. Let us not forget that all items in section B of paper 1 shall be drawn from construct 4, which is population and labor dynamics for production. So those who are viewing us, those who have tuned in, that is how our paper 1 shall look like. Paper 2. Our paper 2 shall be divided into 2 sections as well. Section A and section B. Section A of paper 2 shall consist of 2 compulsory items, and all items in this section shall be drawn from our construct 2, which is economic strategy. Section B of paper 2 shall as well consist of 3 items from which a candidate shall be required to attempt 2 items. One may ask, where will these items of section B paper 1 come from? All items in section B shall be drawn from construct 3, which is economic planning and policy. So we have a sample assessment item of, it is paper 2, it was just ordered from paper 2, and is item 1, and specifically it was extracted from construct 2, which is economic strategy. I can take us ourselves into this item. The item says, according to Uganda Coffee Development Authority, Uganda's coffee exports have experienced significant growth. Between March 2024 and February 2025, the country exported 6.57 million bags of coffee, earning $1.72 billion, representing a 70% increase in value compared to the previous year. In February alone, Uganda exported 555,756 bags, valued at $167.78 million. Prices rose largely due to global supply disruptions in Brazil and Vietnam. Although Robusta remains the dominant variety, Arabica production is increasing steadily as one of Africa's leading coffee exporters. Uganda earns substantial foreign exchange from coffee trade and benefits from favorable global demand and market conditions. Despite these gains, the sector faces emerging challenges. The European Union, one of Uganda's major destinations, has indicated possible restrictions on coffee imports from Uganda, citing concerns that may negatively affect future exports. Government of Uganda is determined to address these challenges in order to safeguard existing and potential markets. A stakeholders workshop has been organized to deliberate on the matter, and you have been invited as a student of economics to provide expert input. That is our item. It's long, but it has all what we need. So this item, the tasks that are related with that item, prepare a presentation that, 1, analyzes the possible challenges that may have prompted the European Union to threaten restriction on Uganda's coffee exports. 2. Propose appropriate government interventions to sustain and strengthen Uganda's export strategy. So as manager pronounced on Friday that our scoring will be based on 4 scores as well as the basis of assessment. So in this item, I have extracted out only one base to show us how best we are to score our learners basing on the 4 scores. That is score 4, score 3, score 2, and score 1. We also have an output as the task was. So this is how we are going to score a learner that scores 4. That is, demonstrates comprehensive understanding of the scenario by clearly identifying Uganda's strong coffee exports, performance, and analyzing in depth the challenges raised by the European Union's import concerns. I started out some examples. So for the learner to score 3, this learner will show strong understanding of Uganda's coffee export situation and the AU's concerns. Then for learner to score 2, this learner must have demonstrated reasonable understanding or partial understanding of the scenario. Then the learner to score 1 is this learner that will show limited or weak understanding of the task as well as the problem that was identified in the scenario. Key messages. Economics shall be assessed through 2 papers, as earlier highlighted, each focusing on concrete constructs and assessment objectives. Each paper shall consist of 5 items. A candidate shall attempt 4 items. In each paper, 2 will be compulsory and 2 will be option. The duration of each paper shall be 3 hours, as it has been before. All the test items shall be scenario based. Responses to scenario based test items shall be scored using rubrics, as the one I have highlighted. All the test items shall require the learner to integrate learning, that is knowledge, skills, generic skills, values, and attitudes. Thank you, team, for listening in. Let us have a short break. Then after, when you come back, I welcome all the questions that have been raised and the responses will be provided. Thank you so much.
Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print. Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life. Did you know that some of the science equipment used in Ugandan schools is designed and produced right here at the National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC? We strengthen the practical teaching of science and technology across Uganda's education system by designing and producing local science and technology equipment using locally available materials whenever possible. This approach makes practical learning affordable, accessible, and sustainable for schools across the country. Science equipment requires maintenance. STEP provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. Learning science should never stop due to broken equipment. STEPD provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. The department also conducts in-service training for science teachers and technicians. They are trained in proper operation, safe handling, servicing and repair, safe storage of equipment. Empowering teachers means empowering learners. STEP carries out research and development in educational equipment design to ensure that Ugandan students gain access to relevant, appropriate, and practical science skills. Innovation begins with hands-on experience. Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print. Welcome to the National Curriculum Development Center e-Learning Center platform, your digital gateway to curriculum resources and support. This platform provides access to approved curriculum materials, digital content, teacher support resources, and guidance on the curriculum implementation, all in one place. In this short walkthrough, we will show you how to navigate platform and access learning materials. Step 1. Visit the NCDC website on www.ncdc.go.ug. Step 2. Click on the e-learning platform. Step 3. Click on Register to create an account or log in if you already have one. You can also use the guest account, which does not require login. Step 4. Simply enter your details and follow the prompts. Once logged in, you will have access to the downloadable materials and interactive content. The NCDC e-learning platform is designed to make curriculum access easier, faster, and more flexible for learners, teachers, and stakeholders across Uganda. By integrating technology into the curriculum delivery, NCDC is expanding access to quality education beyond the traditional classroom. Flexible, accessible, future-focused.
I'm going to respond to some items that have been asked. For example, we have one here. Someone is saying, more light on the number of items in each paper. Maybe I can scroll back and we see that slide. I said that each paper shall have 5 items, and each paper or section A of each paper shall have 2 items, and these items will be compulsory. For section B of each paper shall have 3 items, from which the candidate attempts only 2, making a total of 4. So the entire paper, let us say paper 1, shall have 5 items, and a candidate shall attempt 4 in 3 hours. I think I have responded to this participant who said more light on the number of items in each paper. Then we have another question. Someone says, how many scores does each item have? So here, the number of scores that each item will bear will be determined basing on the number of bases that that item will have. Then there is another question here. How do we allocate ticks in papers? I don't know what he was meaning, but if I have gotten him or her right, here we shall look at the basis of assessment. Then under those bases, we shall single out the indicators that this learner will be giving. Then we shall be able to award. Then there is this one who says, which learner scores a 0? I think when we go back to this scoring grid, it is very clear that the lowest score is 1 and the highest score is 4. So I don't understand where my friend got score 0. Then there is this one saying, how many points are you requesting a student to present per item in different constructs? So I think we can see that as teachers we are still in points. In the competency-based curriculum, we are not looking at points. We are looking at the quality of the argument that a learner has presented as far as a given task is concerned. So those who are thinking of points, points will not work in this CBC context. Then I have another question here. Elaborate on marking. How is each point presented to the learner? This question is somehow ambiguous. I don't know what he or she was meaning. Elaborate on marking. How is each point presented to the learner? This question is not clear. Maybe the one who has sent it can elaborate more about it. So we have some questions from we have some comments from on Zoom. Please flash back slide 2. This was our slide 2. I don't know what my colleague was meaning. Please flash back on slide 2. That is our slide 2. Then there is I wish the broadcast was clear. It would help us to follow by copying also what you are presenting. I think those who have not gotten the presentation clear, it will be streamed online, and after the presentation you can go back and retrieve and watch on your own or at your own pace. Maybe what should we consider while marking? I talked about that one. I made the slide that has paper 2, okay? The slide that has paper 2. The slide that has paper 2 is that I said that paper 2 shall be divided into 2 sections, section A and section B. Section A shall consist of 2 compulsory items. All items in section A shall be drawn from construct 2, which is economic strategy. Section B of paper 2 shall consist of 3 items, from which a candidate shall choose 2. All items in section B shall be drawn from construct 3, that is economic planning and policy. If they are, I can give to Senior Wilson to also respond to some of the items, the questions rather that have been presented by those on Zoom and those on the YouTube.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Good morning, viewers. So I would like to respond to the issue, to clarify the issue of scoring 0. The rubrics are very clear that as long as someone has presented something, it is you, the assessor, to make a sense of the presentation and judge the candidate's work according to the merit present or absent in that presentation. The moment you can make a sense and interpret the candidate's work or the learner's work, and you see that is completely off topic, meaning that you can form an opinion about it, it means that you have understood it. It's not the same as someone having given nothing, what we call non-response. Non-response automatically attracts 0 because it's not catered for on the rubric. The rubric shows you that the lowest level of performance is a person scores 1, as long as the person has presented something that is interpretable and that you can make a sense of. Whether it is one line, whether there are a few words, as long as you can interpret and say, the person has presented something, that is now the skill of communication and organization of work. In terms of generic skills that person achieves on the generic skill, if you can prove that his communication is not coherent, for example, his communication is incomplete, his communication is partial, then that person does not score 0 because you have made sense of the communication made by the learner or by the candidate for that matter. So scoring 0 is not catered for on our rubric because in competence, we don't look at what the person cannot do. We look at what the person is able to do and score that accordingly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wilson. Katomike also has something to respond to.
Thank you, our viewers and listeners. There is a person who was asking how students are supposed to respond. Dear listeners, you have been giving our learners end of topic assessment, which is the activity of integration. So you have been enabling the learners to respond to these activities, which are scenario-based in nature. And the assessment items for end of cycle that have been presented are also in a similar vein. Therefore, dear teachers, don't get worried in that respect. The learners, if I have been giving them activities of integration at the end of the topics, they'll be able to respond to the exams. I got a few questions regarding continuous assessment for technical drawing. Continuous assessment has been scheduled to take a span of 1 year. That is from senior 5 term 2 to senior 6 term 2. But because we've been caught up by time and events, UNEB is going to provide guidance on how this continuous assessment is going to be handled. However, every learner is expected, UNEB is expected to provide a theme, and we shall work under that theme to come up with a project and present to UNEB as per the guidelines that UNEB has given. A member asked about practicals. Asked about paper 3. Paper 3 in technical drawing has 2 papers. We have a drafting paper and a theory paper. In the presentation, I just gave a sample because already paper 1 had drawing. Therefore, the nature of assessing the drafting paper in paper 3 would be similar. Therefore, I couldn't go back again to re-explain again the same thing when it comes to the drafting paper in paper 3. The theory is what I provided, and we said both paper 2 and paper 3 will be having a drafting and a theory paper. For the practical part, the person was asking about practicals. Practicals for the subjects where they are, that is metalwork and woodwork, the practicals are supposed to be assessed for both the process and the product. Formerly, learners were doing, and the product was ferried to UNEB for assessment. But now we're saying the assessment is both process and the product. Therefore, the assessor will be there when the learner is starting to do the practical and looks at the processes until the product is attained. Thank you for your kind attention.
There is another question here. Someone's asking, shall we have qualifiers in economics? I think it has been disturbing everyone. In this CBC, we shall not be looking at those qualifiers, but we shall be looking at the quality of a learner's work. I know previously teachers have been marking these qualifiers that in case you don't qualify the points, you don't get a score. Because of CBC, we are looking at what this learner can do. So we shall be analyzing their work, then we judge as per the scoring rubric. There is someone is asking, will the items in section B have parts in economics? No. As I have presented, I can take us back. He was asking, will the item section B have parts? The response is no. Paper 2, as I said, shall be divided into 2 sections, section A and section B. Section A shall consist of 2 compulsory items. All items in section A shall be drawn from construct 2, that is economic strategy. Section B shall consist of 3 items, from which a candidate shall choose 2. And items in section B shall be drawn from construct 3, that is economic planning and policy. So we don't have parts in paper 2, my brother. Is there paper balancing? Is there paper balancing like in the old setting, or for the 2 papers? Paper balance, what do you mean by paper balancing? What I can respond on this is each paper will be judged based on the constructs that are within that paper. My senior, you can elaborate more about it.
Thank you very much. I've come to learn that what teachers mean by paper balancing is that a paper which is strongly performed uplifts the grade in another paper, meaning that the papers are interdependent. Here we are not looking at paper balancing because the learners' presentations and responses will be according to constructs, and the competence will be described on the basis of the constructs making up the paper. If the paper comprises 2 constructs, the learner will be described in construct 1 and construct 2. And that will give us the general picture of how well that person is faring in economics. Note that if you score higher in one paper, the second paper perhaps will help you. Rather, if you score well in the first paper, and then you score a low grade or a score in the second paper, that one uplifts the other. There is no compensation because constructs are described independent of the other. So the balancing will not arise. Thank you.
So there is another question here. Someone is asking, shall we have continuous assessment for economics? The response to that is no. Economics shall have no continuous assessment. However, we encourage teachers that are during school-based assessment, please engage learners on the activities of integration at school to get acquainted with how the final or end of cycle assessment will look like. Someone is asking, is the issue of marking each item has a maximum of 4? Is the issue of marking each item has a maximum of 4? As I said earlier, that these items, they will be scored basing on the number of bases that each item possesses. There is another one here. Someone is saying, what happens when a learner attempts all the 5 questions? How is marking done? Or the selection of what to mark. What happens when a learner attempts all 5 questions? How is marking done? Or the selection of what to mark. On this very question, I'm sure during the marking, the examination body will come up with the guideline on how issues of marking such a learner that has scored all the 5 items will be done. Thank you so much. Any other questions? So, lastly, there is a last one here before I go to Joseph. Someone is asking, what's the difference when answering economics paper 1 and paper 2? This one asks, what's the difference when answering economics paper 1 and paper 2? Remember, in economics paper 1 and paper 2, both papers have different constructs. So I don't know which difference we're talking about, because 2 papers, as I said, the constructs that made up these papers are different. So I don't know which you were meaning, saying that what is the difference. Because I have already presented that these 2 papers have got distinct constructs. Thank you. Allow me thank you members for tuning in. Allow me give this mic back to Mr. Joseph. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for the comprehensive presentation and responding to these key questions. However, questions are still coming in. Please, we will ensure that we answer all of them. Somebody is asking us to elaborate about bases of assessment. Allow me give this microphone to one of our senior specialists in Sir Wilson to give a candid explanation on bases of assessment. maybe probably you could also explain what basis means, why use basis of, what do they exactly mean? What should the teacher of economics take about basis? Where do they come from? Maybe that can make it easier for the teacher down there to understand what we are talking about, so that the curriculum is easily interpreted and actually implemented the way we expect it to be. Over to you, Mr. Savuma. Maybe you can also answer the other question on why use rubrics. Why use rubrics? Maybe that can throw you to whether we shall use qualifiers in economics or not. I think this was answered, but you can elaborate when we use rubrics and then qualifiers, and then you know those things very well. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Savuma, for an explanation.
Thank you very much, Joseph. And I thank you once again, the viewers, for concentrating on this presentation and raising this range of questions. I'm starting with the basis of assessment. Basis of assessment is rather something new in our assessment. However, it shouldn't disturb us very much. Basis simply refers to a yardstick, upon which yardstick shall you judge the learner's response. In other words, you ask yourself, if I were to answer this item, if I were to respond to this task, what key things should I bring out, or would I bring out? Upon which pillars shall I build my response in order to make it convincing and effective in solving that problem? Those key pillars upon which you build the response are what we call the basis of assessment. If it is one, it is called a basis of assessment. So if I say that I'll be looking for the person's understanding of the task or of the scenario, that is interpretation of the task. Interpretation is a basis of assessment. If I say, secondly, I'll be looking at the learner's ability to generate ideas and present them in a meaningful manner, coherent and meaningful manner. So, coherence, presentation of ideas in a coherent and meaningful manner is a basis of assessment, is another basis. Then I say, I want to look at the learner's ability to cross-reference or to refer the ideas being presented to evidence presented in the scenario. That is relating the response to the scenario. That relationship is another basis of assessment. So, in simple terms, basis of assessment is the yardstick that you will use to judge the quality of the learner's response to a task. What key things will you look out for? When there are more than one, we call them bases of assessment or bases of evaluation. 2, why do we use a scoring rubric? In competence-based assessment, often we don't use marking guides, because marking guides have predetermined expected responses. The teacher who taught has a stock of knowledge given to the learners, upon which learners are expected to draw and respond to the tasks provided. In competence-based assessment, we are saying no, it's not the body of knowledge that is important. Rather, it is the quality of the response and its effectiveness in solving the problem. The quality may be built upon known facts, which the teacher also knows. Just like they may be based on the learner's ingenuity, ability to think and create new ideas. Because of that, we only set standards that we use to judge the learner's response. Those standards are described in a rubric, what we call a scoring rubric. So when we describe the standards, it means that we interpret the learner's response in whatever direction the response is given. We interpret it in line with those standards. We look out for those standards, but not specific ideas. So we use rubrics in order to make it easy for us to judge the quality of the candidate's work or the learner's work without basing on what we know, but basing on what the learner comes up with, and we see whether it makes sense in the context of the scenario provided and the task presented. That's why we use rubrics instead of marking guides. Finally, the issue of qualifiers. The issue of qualifiers, by the way, is a new invention in Uganda's education system, and in most cases it is unique to Uganda. Qualifiers came about when I was myself still an examiner, and they started with some few subjects, but eventually they cut across all the subjects, nearly all the subjects. Qualifiers is a means used by examiners to discriminate among candidates and also to make sure they eliminate some people from certain score levels or grades. And when you look at the qualifiers, largely it is nothing but playing around with the language. Many countries in the world don't look at the language, but look at the sense that the language makes. So in competence-based assessment, qualifiers don't have any place, because in any case they have been very unfair to the learners and the candidates for that matter at national level. We shall not stick to qualifiers to determine one's ability to solve problems, but we shall be looking at the effectiveness of a person's response, the solution provided in solving the problem at hand, regardless of the words used. Whether the language is perfectly correct or not, as long as we can see that if we try out this response, it solves the problem presented, we don't mind about the qualifiers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Savuma, for that candid explanation. Somebody would like to know whether these changes we are communicating take effect this year. I think they have the answer in the question. Yes, these changes or these assessment guidelines will work this year. Now, somebody else is asking about the tenses in the learner's answers. Allow me through this microphone to Mr. Chirinya to answer that.
Thank you so much, Joseph. As Mr. Savuma has highlighted clearly, in CBC, we don't look at the tense, the language that the learner gives, but we look at the quality of the responses that this learner has given out. So you, as the scholar, scan through this learner's submission or responses and then see whether there is something that the learner has given out. The issue of tenses in CBC don't work. The issue of tenses in CBC, more so in our subject economics, don't work because they are also being misused by our teachers to discriminate among the various learners. So we shall basically look at the quality of response the learner has given in relation to the task that the item had. We also have another question one asked, that shall we base our economics on the Ugandan perspective, or the answer is economics will be based on the different economies we have, of which Uganda is also part of an economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, dear colleagues, for asking a number of questions. We are so happy. I think economics has asked the biggest number of questions. We thank you so much for being good listeners, and we thank you for submitting your points of doubt or any other issues that could have come out of the presentations. We beg that you continue submitting those questions throughout. We will keep answering them either through the chat or when we get into other sessions. We will ensure that we respond to those questions. going forward. Allow me end this session here unless otherwise, and then we will have a break, and then by 2 I would like to remind you that we will be here again and have presentations from the following subjects. We will have C.R.E, I.R.E, history, chemistry, and then art and design, or art, fine art. Thank you so much. We hope to have you back at 2. We'll begin at exactly 2 and have those subject specific presentations. Thank you so much for listening to us, and thank you for sparing your time and money to join this call. We wish you a nice lunch.
Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print. And should never stop due to broken equipment. STEP.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you back from the lunch break. And now we enter a session where we will have various subjects. We will begin with the C.R.E as our first subject. That will be followed by a sister subject in I.R.E before we go to chemistry. And then we'll end our sessions with the fine art and the history, in that order. So we beg that the teachers, especially the teachers of these subjects, to join our call either on our YouTube channel or through the Zoom, that is if it's not full. You can also subscribe to this channel so that you receive feedback in form of notifications on the ongoing uploads we shall have for various sessions we will be having. We encourage you to continue typing in your questions throughout the session before you forget them. We will ensure that we follow up all the questions and try to give feedback or answers as we will afford. So without wasting a lot of time, allow me to invite you to the presentations beginning with C.R.E, I.R.E, chemistry, and then art and design, then history, in that order. Thank you so much for listening and joining in from various locations.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Navka Anet, Curriculum Specialist Religious Education in the Secondary Department, NCDC, and I'm here to present the assessment of Christian religious education at advanced level. Our session outcomes, I do expect you, dear participants, to appreciate the mode of assessment, of assessing learners in C.R.E. under the adapted competency-based curriculum. And that is our introduction, whereby it is trying to show you what C.R.E. assesses. That is, it assesses the learner's ability to integrate biblical themes that are from the Pentateuch, from Psalms, some Psalms, of course, not all of them, Job, Gospels, Epistles, and the ancient Israelite roles, together with the traditional African and contemporary perspectives, demonstrating a lifestyle that reflects covenantal devotion, gospel-centered witness, servant leadership, cultural discernment, and active peace building across personal and social and societal contexts. So this is a sum up of what C.R.E. assesses at A level in the aligned curriculum. Now we have in C.R.E. we have 5 constructs. We also have 5 assessment objectives and different topics. The topics that have related content were put together to assess, and the way we assess them under one construct. In the first construct, we have a man's covenant relationship with God, and our assessment objective is to help the learners will be able to interpret covenantal themes and faith practices from the Pentateuch, from the Psalms, Job, and demonstrate how these texts inform a resilient worship, centered lifestyle in pursuit of God's purpose. And the topics that we put together will include the Pentateuch and the wisdom literature. And in wisdom literature, we picked the books of Job and selected Psalms as it is clearly indicated in the curriculum. We cannot go into the details of what is in the curriculum. Our second construct is God's character through the priestly, prophetic, and kingly offices in Israel. And what we assess there is that it assesses the learner's understanding of the functions and qualities of priestly, prophetic, and kingly figures in ancient Israel, and their ability to apply these insights to demonstrate servant leadership rooted in faith, justice, and humility. And the topics that formed the construct include theocracy in Israel, monarchism in Israel, and prophetism in Israel. The details of those topics are found in the curriculum, and I hope and pray that that is how you have been implementing the curriculum. Our third construct is the identity of Jesus according to the Gospels of Mark and John, the letters of Paul, James, and Peter, and in the early church. So under that, we want the learners to interpret the scripture texts of Jesus in Mark, John, and the early church, plus the letters of Paul, James, and Peter, and the ways in which they inform the gospel witness in daily life. The topics there that were the topics that led to that formation of that construct include the pre-gospel period, the Gospels, and the Epistles. Those 3 that are clearly selected. Construct number 4 is the African traditional, contemporary, and biblical perspective on social relations and stewardship of the earth. In this, we would want the learner to interpret and synthesize the teachings from the African traditional, contemporary, and biblical worldviews in making ethical decisions, fostering healthy social relations, and stewarding the world. And in those, the topics that formed that construct include sex and sexuality, marriage, family life, work, leisure, and money and wealth. Then the fifth and last construct is the traditional African contemporary and biblical principles that nurture civic responsibility. Under this, we would love the learner to interpret and apply ethical principles from the traditional African, contemporary, and biblical teachings in addressing the issues of justice, civic engagement, global and peace building, demonstrating a commitment to responsible living in the diverse contexts. So under this, the topics that we put together to form that construct include law, crime, and punishment, the state and the citizen, and finally, international order. Then we have the assessment papers. How are we going to assess? There will be two papers for C.R.E, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 will have two sections, A and B. Section A will have two compulsory items drawn from constructs 1 and 2. Why construct 1 and 2? Because they are the foundation of the subject. That is the earlier part of the Pentateuch, that is earlier part of the first part of the Bible and the Gospels. Then section B will have two optional items drawn from construct 2. A candidate will respond to one item from the two that will be set. And all the items in the paper will be scenario based. And the examination will take 3 hours, meaning that each item will take 1 hour. Then paper 2 will have two sections, A and B. The items in section A will be drawn from construct 4, while the ones in section B will be drawn from construct 5. Sections A and B will comprise of optional items, and a candidate will be required to respond to one from each section. They will also be scenario based, and each of them is supposed to be answered in 1 hour. That is making it a total of 2 hours. And here we have a sample item. I think you can read it. It is Kilwa was a staunch Christian community. However, it was experienced. It went through devastating floods in the rainy season. Several people died while others lost property. The community lost faith in Christianity because they saw floods as a God-sent catastrophe. They therefore see no reason for worship and trust in God anymore. As such, many of them have resorted to ungodly lifestyles due to the vulnerability and the despair of the Christians in Kilwa village. The self-made mediums have taken advantage and have started exploiting them both financially and sexually. Priests and pastors of the area have tried to counsel the Christians in the community in vain. They even visit their homes to pray, trying to renew their faith, but in vain. Priests and pastors of recent pleaded with the government and a non-government organization like the Red Cross, to come to rescue of Kilwa community. They have sent food, medicine, clothes, blankets, temporary shelters, but still the people of Kilwa have refused to return to Christ. Our task is, basing on the Pentateuch, Psalm 22 and 47, guide the Kilwa community and other Ugandans facing similar challenges to remain committed to God. Now, in that, you can see the scenario is more demanding than those that we had at O level. It is a scenario, but it is showing you a particular context, and it is also bringing out a problem. So we have, the task is asking the candidate to use the reference of the Pentateuch, Psalms 22 and 47, to guide the Kilwa community and other Ugandans facing similar challenges. We are not, the scoring of the learner's response will not be based on the number of points or whatever, but we are going to, I'm going to give you a sample of how the rubric is going to appear. Just okay, we have a basis of evaluation with indicators, and our basis number 1 is comprehensive overview of the biblical context and the Kilwa Christian community in particular, with clear identification and statement of problems leading to the loss of commitment to God in the Kilwa community. Now, we shall, when you look at the scores, they'll be scored depending not on the number of points, but on the way they present their work. At score 4, we expect a learner to make a thorough overview of the context. A thorough overview of the context. I'm not going to go into the details. Then at score 3, the learner will present a detailed overview of the context in Kilwa. Then at score 3, it will be a general overview. General, please note that. And then when it comes to score 1, that person would have given a haphazard picture about the context. Then at a second level, we have the correct interpretation of and analysis of the biblical messages. So the one who scores 4 fully analyzes. Then the one who scores explains, the one who scores 3 explains most of the biblical, most. Then the one who scores 2 makes general references, and at 1, it is a person would have given mostly irrelevant ideas, sometimes not even connected to the context. So that is how our scoring, it goes on to the other details and the conclusion, as the manager explained to you on Friday. And as I conclude, there are certain points that you have to note. That C.R.E. shall be assessed through papers, each focusing on concrete constructs and assessment objectives. All test items are scenario-based. Assessment items for A-level shall be more complex than those that we had at lower secondary. Then the test items will require a learner to integrate learning. As you saw, we are in our scenario, it is presented in the modern, but we are integrating the knowledge that we got from the Bible to solve to come up with a solution. then the responses to the scenario-based items are scored using rubrics like we have just, you have just seen in the previous slides. And maybe one other thing that is not included there is that out of the 5 constructs, it's only 2 that are compulsory. Thank you very much for listening to me. I await questions from you. Thank you very much.
NCDC Journal invites researchers, curriculum specialists, educators, and policymakers to submit scholarly papers for publishing. The journal provides a peer-reviewed platform for high-quality research and critical discourse in curriculum studies, education policy, pedagogy, assessment, innovation, and related fields. We welcome original research articles, policy analysis, case studies, theoretical and conceptual papers, evidence-based classroom innovations. Submissions should contribute to strengthening curriculum development and improving teaching and learning outcomes. All manuscripts undergo a rigorous peer review process to ensure academic quality and relevance. Be part of the conversation shaping Uganda's education landscape. Submit your manuscript and contribute to knowledge that informs policy, practice, and national development. Did you know that some of the science equipment used in Ugandan schools is designed and produced right here at the National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC? We strengthen the practical teaching of science and technology across Uganda's education system by designing and producing local science and technology equipment using locally available materials whenever possible. This approach makes practical learning affordable, accessible, and sustainable for schools across the country. Science equipment requires maintenance. STEP provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. Learning science should never stop due to broken equipment. STEPD provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. The department also conducts in-service training for science teachers and technicians. They are trained in proper operation, safe handling, servicing and repair, safe storage of equipment. Empowering teachers means empowering learners. STEP carries out research and development in educational equipment design to ensure that Ugandan students gain access to relevant, appropriate, and practical science skills. Innovation begins with hands-on experience.
Thank you so much, dear colleagues, for listening in. We seem not to see very many questions arising from the presentation that the specialist for C.R.E. has just given. And so we await for those questions, and now we will give another presentation from I.R.E., and those questions put together will be answered at the same time. So I'll hand over to the specialist for I.R.E. in Abdul Aziz Kakoza while we continue submitting in our questions. Over to you, to Dr. Kakoza Abdul Aziz. Thank you.
Good afternoon, dear teachers. As I've been introduced, my name is Dr. Abdul Aziz Kakoza, and I'm going to take you through the assessment guidelines for Islamic religious education. Okay, so this is what we expect from my presentation. I'll talk about the focus of our assessment of I.R.E., the assessment objectives, the constructs and their topics that are in our subject, the structure of assessment of the paper, and this will also give you a sample item and its scoring rubric. Now, Islamic education assesses the learner's ability to apply Islamic knowledge, skills, values, and ethical principles derived from the Quran, Hadith, Islamic law, social teachings, leadership models, and Islamic civilization to real life, contemporary, and societal context. So we shifted from knowledge-based to competence-based. So this means that we want to apply the knowledge that we have acquired from religious education. And you can see that our subject promotes these life skills, the values, and the ethical principles. So we would like to see a learner being able to pull out all these ideas into his or her responses. And the following are the assessment objectives. The first one is to demonstrate an appreciation of the nature of divine revelation and the prescribed acts of worship as guided by the Quran and Hadith, and apply this understanding to achieve spiritual guidance and personal growth in Islam. The second assessment objective is to demonstrate an understanding of the sources of principles and processes of Islamic law while analyzing how these guide ethical decision making and apply them to contemporary issues to promote justice, accountability, and moral integrity in daily life. The third assessment objective is that the learner should be able to analyze Islamic teachings on social relations, evaluating their significance for promoting justice, compassion, peaceful coexistence, and apply these principles to address real-life social issues in addition to building harmonious communities. The fourth assessment objective is the learner should be able to analyze the principles of responsible leadership and governance in Islam, evaluating their relevance to contemporary contexts, and apply these teachings to demonstrate ethical, just, and accountable leadership in daily life. And the final assessment objective, which is the fifth one, is to analyze the key contributions of Islamic civilization, evaluating their impact on global heritage and contemporary society, and apply this understanding to draw lessons. So that the below part has been hidden, but I will explain in the next slide. Now, these are the constructs that come from the assessment objectives. Now, the constructs I'm going to present also align with the topics they are in. So the first construct is the divine revelation and worship as guided by the Quran and Hadith. You could even call Hadith as Sunnah. Now, the topics that follow this construct include the revelation of the Quran, the preservation of the Holy Quran, the spiritual teachings of the Quran, and the selected surahs from the Holy Quran. Those will form our first construct, which is divine revelation and worship as guided by the Quran and Hadith. The second construct is Islamic law and ethical decision making. Now, the topics that follow under this construct are collection of Hadith, the compilation of Hadith, evaluation of Hadith, and classification of Hadith. Now here it gives the learner the background to appreciate Hadith. Then we get into the actual application, that is Islamic law, that is Sharia, the development of Islamic law, classification of illegal acts in Islam, fundamental teachings of Islamic law, and finally the challenges of application of Sharia law in the contemporary world. The next construct is Islamic teachings on social relations in daily life. Here we have one topic, which is quite broad, which is social teachings. The fourth construct is leadership and governance in line with the Islamic teachings. Here we have two topics. The topics are Islamic teachings on political life and the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. We could see that here we are picking the best practices in leadership in these topics, and that will guide the learner on leadership and governance in line with Islamic teachings. The final construct is the Islamic civilization and its contemporary contributions, and the following two topics are the life of Prophet Muhammad and the Orthodox Caliphate. So these will form our guidance in the Islamic civilization and its contemporary contributions. Now I'd like to take you to the structure of the assessment papers. I.R.E. will be assessed into two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 will be comprised of two sections, that is section A and section B. Section A will comprise of two compulsory items. If you could remember, these come from the Hadith, from the Quran and Hadith. They will be compulsory, come from construct 1 and construct 2. Remember, construct 1 was Islamic divine revelation and worship as guided by the Quran and Hadith or Sunnah, and the second construct was Islamic law and ethical decision making. So those will be compulsory for the learner to attempt in section A. Section B will have two option items drawn from construct 3. Remember, construct 3 was Islamic teachings on social relationships in daily life. So the learner will have two items in section B, but will just choose or select one item to answer. This whole paper will take 3 hours. Now, paper 2 will consist of two sections, section A and section B. Section A shall comprise optional items drawn from, there will be two optional items drawn from construct 4. Construct 4 was leadership and governance in line with the Islamic teachings. Okay, so the learner will have to choose one question. You'll be given two option questions in that section, and then section B shall comprise optional items drawn from construct 5. There will be two option items, and these will come from this construct, like I told you, the Islamic civilization and its contemporary contributions. All items in the two papers shall be scenario-based, focusing on interpretation, evaluation, and application of Islamic principles in contemporary situations. The duration of paper 2 will be 2 hours, and all items shall carry equal marks. Now I have the opportunity to share with you a sample of the assessment item and how you will be able to score it. Let me read it for you. Ahmad, a young Muslim living in rural Uganda community, has grown up with little awareness to the teachings of Islam. Although he is a Muslim, he practices traditional beliefs and lacks understanding of the teachings of Quran and Hadith and how they guide spirituality and personal relationship with Allah. Despite regular efforts by the local imam to educate him while quoting verses like, "Say he is Allah, the one and only, Allah the eternal, the absolute, he begets not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like unto him." That is from Surah Al-Ikhlas, chapter 112. Ahmad remains negative. He treats the Quran with disrespect, sometimes towering it carelessly, or even tearing out pages without realizing its holiness and originality as divine revelation. He also doubts its teachings about the next world and how it influences one's daily life. His community worries that without proper awareness of the divineness of the Quran Ahmad risks going astray, getting lost further from the path of righteousness. Now, this is the task from the scenario above. Analyze the teachings from the Quran and Hadith to guide and create awareness to Ahmad in issues to do with on issues in the scenario. Now, this sample item comes from construct 1. Okay. Now, this is the rubric, the assessment rubric. The output of this item is an essay. Okay. So, as you can see, we have, just like my previous presenters, they have indicated the levels of assessment. We have where you would score the learner 4, 3, 2, or 1, depending on the quality of the responses. And we have the basis of evaluation, where the first level is demonstrates understanding of the task and the context. We need to, you will have to check whether the learner is able to relate or to show understanding of what they have really read from the scenario. The next one is generates and connects ideas using Islamic sources, that is the Quran, Hadith, and Islamic historical facts. And another level or another basis of evaluation also is the presentation. Can the learner present ideas coherently and form reasoned conclusion? So, as you keep on going through, I'm not going to go through each and every aspect of the rubric, but at least you can see that we have guided on what you should be able to see. That the first level, that is the fourth, is at the highest, whereby the learner really exhibits extraordinary responses. The third score is the learner has good understanding, and the second score is the learner is at a basic level, whereby they are giving just like more of like outlines. And the first score, the learner has challenge in understanding the task at hand. It does not generates very few relevant ideas, and the quality of the work is really unclear and all very weak in terms of organization. Okay. With that, I'd like to thank you for listening to me, and I wait for your questions after the break. Thank you.
Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life. Welcome to the National Curriculum.
Let's first respond to these questions, and then we will go to those that arise from the presentation Doctor has just made. I think the first question is about whether the teachers are allowed or whether they can use the grasps model to create the items. Yes, you can use the grasps model to create the items, and I think you create a better item when you use this model, because it defines a clear goal the learner has to achieve, and you give a particular role to the learner, and then in the scenario there is a particular audience that faces the problem, and so the learner assembles resources to respond to such a problem with a clear target group, and then The item has a particular standard, and the standard of the output you require the learner to have, etc. So it is very good for those who understand how the GRASS model works. You can use it to create very good items that are scenario based for better assessments. Now, there are other questions that are specific to C.R.E. Allow me take you back to Madam Annette to respond to some of them. Annette, over to you for some answers of some of these questions.
Thank you very much, Joseph, and thank you to those who have asked the questions I have. One is the highest score 4 per item? No, it is per basis of evaluation. Are the items going to be marked out of 100? That is no. Rather, it is dependent on the number of bases of assessment. Like if you can go back to what the manager presented on the first day, if you can refer to that, you'll get that clearly. Somebody wants more clarity on paper 2. I want to go back to the presentation on paper 2. But in the meantime, is it supposed to get a sample paper? Yes, you will get the sample papers, both from UNEB, and we shall also share in the guidelines where we have these sample papers, provided. How do we assess? Another participant came in with a question. How do we assess the entire essay to come up with 4 scores only? Scores are, as noted earlier, are per basis, and there is more than one base of evaluation. Still, I request that you refer to what manager presented in the first session. It's not working. Then there is another question. We request for sample item responses for C.R.E. Thank you very much, but the responses definitely will be the learners. But seriously, we use the rubric to assess the candidates individually. I hope you note that. Then how do we assess, how do we set scenarios 4 and 5? From constructs 4 and 5. Let's go and look at constructs. Okay, that's 1 and 2. 3, for African traditional and contemporary biblical perspectives on social relations and stewardship on earth. Then the traditional African and contemporary and biblical principles that nurture civic responsibility. Now, I'm sure you have been giving our learners the activities of integration. We are going to use the same mode of scenarios, the same type of scenarios as we have been using when we are giving them activities of integration. But what do they look like? The scenarios have to integrate knowledge, concepts, generic skills, and values. They should be higher order. They should have a problem from the real world, a support where possible, and a clear task with a standard. So you can also refer to the trainings that we gave you on developing of activities of integration at all level, at lower secondary. Then more clarity on paper 2. I don't know what more clarity means, but paper 2 will have 2 sections, A and B. And they will be taken from constructs 4 and 5, which I have just given to you. And section, and they will have, section A and B will comprise of optional items, meaning that in section A there will be an option to choose one from the 2 that have been set. Then in section B there will also be 2 items, and the candidate will attempt only one. And of course there will be scenario based. I don't know whether I have given you more clarity on paper 2. Will students, there is another question here, will students have access to Bibles in the exams? No, they will have to use the knowledge that they have acquired and apply during the exams. We shall not have Bibles in the exam. I think that is about, no, items marked over, okay, that one has already been attended to. I think that is all. Thank you so much for listening to me. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam, for responding to these questions. Colleagues, we don't see so many questions coming in as far as I.R.E. is concerned. We beg that they come in such that before we go to another subject, we have answered all of them. But I think about 2 or 3 have come in. People who came in late want them to get a reminder of how the papers will look like. And then they also want to see how I.R.E. constructs have been created and how they contribute to the papers we have in I.R.E. Over to you, Doctor, to respond to some of these questions, and then allow us now present some of those constructs he talked about, and then we see how they are created from the topics in the syllabus and how they will be actually assessed in the end. Over to you, Doctor, for the response. We will be waiting for any other question that pertains I.R.E. or C.R.E., and then we move to chemistry thereafter. I know there are very many people waiting for chemistry.
Thank you, Program Director. Let me flash the slides on the screen, and I share with you the constructs. Okay. So now construct 1 is divine revelation and worship as guided by the Quran and Hadith. And I mentioned that these are the topics: revelation of the Quran, the preservation of the Holy Quran, and spiritual teachings of the Quran, and selected surahs from the Quran. The second construct is Islamic law and ethical decision making, and the topics, as you can see: collection of hadith, compilation of hadith, evaluation of hadith, classification of hadith, Islamic law, the development of Islamic law, classification of legal acts in Islam, fundamental teachings of Islam, challenges of the application of Sharia in the contemporary world. And the third construct here is Islamic teachings on social relations in the daily life. And this has one topic, that is social teachings. Now, those 3 constructs, the 1, 2, and 3 that I've taken you through, form one paper, where the first two constructs are compulsory in section A, and section B will have the construct 3 with 2 items where the learner will have to choose one item. Then paper 2 will comprise construct 4 and construct 5. Construct 4 is leadership and governance in line with Islamic teachings, and the topics are Islamic teachings on political life and the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. The fifth construct is Islamic civilization and its contemporary contributions, and the topics are the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Orthodox Caliphate. Now, these will be, construct 4 will have 2 questions and will form section A, and section B will be for construct 5 and will have 2 questions, and the learner will have to choose one item. I think that was the question. I think I've answered the questions unless there is any other. Moderator, do you see any question coming through? I think that's all for now. And the rest of the details we shall share the complete assessment guidelines. You will receive them online as informed earlier, and that will be for it for now. Over to you, program coordinator. Thank you.
Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print.
Thank you so much, dear teachers and stakeholders, for the number of questions that come in, especially while you request for clarity on a few things we present on. And now let me take you to chemistry. Very many people are waiting for chemistry. Please feel free to keep asking in case you forgot anything here and there. We will write down those questions and throw them to the people concerned, and we shall give feedback. Now, we'll have chemistry before we can go to art and design. Allow me present a microphone to Vyaruhanga Bonaventure, who will present on behalf of Dorothy James, who is not around today. On behalf of him, he will present chemistry assessment guidelines at A level. Over to you, Bonaventure, for the presentation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Vyaruhanga Bonaventure is my name, and that's my voice, but I will represent Mr. Dorothy James, who is away because of one reason or the other. I will represent the assessment guidelines for chemistry, and then thereafter we shall share. To begin with, we need to appreciate the mode of assessment of chemistry, and then what do we assess in chemistry. It is very important to understand that when we are assessing chemistry, we are trying to see how a learner understands chemical principles and can apply them in explaining, analyzing, solving problems using accurate, practical, mathematical, and scientific reasoning, which are supported by sound experimental knowledge and communication. So ladies and gentlemen, when we are assessing chemistry, that's what we need to see overall, whether somebody is communicating ideas of chemistry in a scientific way. So when we have those things, either calculations, either equations, either whatever, we are communicating ideas in chemistry and communicating for the purpose of solving problems. That is what we assess in totality. Okay, this is general information. As we know, at the end of cycle, we can see children who are struggling with the examinations there, I think, in the picture. But the key message there is that, as usual, Uganda National Examinations Board will carry out to the end of cycle, and the teachers need to be aware of the intention of teaching chemistry and the intention of assessing, and also what will be assessed. So, assessment of chemistry will be guided by 4 constructs, and on the display are the constructs, the assessment objectives, and the topics therein. The first construct is the foundations of atomic structure, bonding, and periodicity. And when we are assessing that one in general, we want to see whether learners can demonstrate the understanding of the atomic and molecular structures, the trends on the periodic table in terms of the physical and chemical trends, and the reactivity of the elements. That is what we assess in general for that construct, and that construct has 4 topics, and that's how they are numbered in the syllabus. So when you see 2, it is because it's topic 2 in the syllabus. So we have atomic structure, atomic and electronic structure, beg your pardon. We have bonding and structure. We have periodicity 1 and periodicity 2. The second construct is structure, reactivity, and applications of organic molecules. That one, learners analyze the structure, reactivity, transformation, pathways of organic compounds, then predict chemical behavior, they explain natural processes, and propose solutions in real life, in real world, and in innovative chemical contexts using organic molecules. So that one has organic chemistry 1, organic chemistry 2, organic chemistry 3. We could summarize it, I would say organic chemistry. Construct 3 is stoichiometry, thermochemistry, and kinetics. And that one, we want to see whether learners can apply quantitative chemical principles to analyze, model, and predict the amount of substances, energy changes, and how fast or slow these reactions, chemical reactions, occur. And the topics therein are moles and equations, which is topic 1, then 5, thermochemistry, and then reaction kinetics. The last one is equilibria and electrochemical systems, and we are assessing whether learners apply principles of chemical and physical equilibria and electrochemistry to interpret, predict, and evaluate the behavior of chemical systems in industrial and real-world contexts. And the topics are equilibrium 1, equilibrium 2, and electrochemistry. So we see that we are taking chemistry not only in the laboratory or in the classroom, but to real life, including the industry. Before I leave this screen, ladies and gentlemen, we need to note that the constructs are not the order of teaching. We don't teach according to the order of the constructs, but the order of teaching is presented in the syllabus. So let us not reorganize the order of teaching according to the constructs, because the way the topics come in the syllabus is very important, depending on how one topic may support the other and the maturity of the learners. So we encourage, we actually caution you not to teach according to the constructs, but teach according to the syllabus arrangement. There will be 2 chemistry papers. We are moving from 3 chemistry papers to 2. We need to note that one carefully. The first paper, which will be theory, has 2 hours and 45 minutes. Comes from which constructs? It comes from assessment objective 3 and assessment objective 4. So it comes from construct 3 and construct 4. If you look back, construct 3 is the stoichiometry, thermochemistry, and the kinetics. Then construct 4, chemical equilibrium, and I think it was the thermochemistry, yes. So those are the 2 sections of paper 1, theory, and they are compulsory. Section A, that is kinetics and that one. Then section B, which is equilibrium and electrochemistry, they are all compulsory, 1 item each. Section B will have 2 parts. Part 1, which is assessment objective 1, that is periodicity, foundations of atomic structure, and something like that, has 2 items and the equally weighted items, and the candidates attempt 1. Then section B, which is assessment objective 2, organic molecules, organic 1, organic 2, organic 3, there are 2 compulsory items, and the candidates attempt 1. So in total, candidates will attempt 4 items. Section A, 1 item compulsory. Let me repeat. Section B, 1 item compulsory. Sorry, section A, 2 items compulsory. Then section B, part 1, 2 items, candidates take 1, and part 2, candidates take 1. 4 items. Then there will be also paper 2, which contains 2 compulsory items in the practical section. 2 compulsory items which can be drawn from any of the 4 constructs, but without repetition. So if item 1 comes from construct 1, then or construct 2, then item 2 comes from another construct. So there will be 2 items coming from any of the 4 constructs, but without repetition. And the items will test the science process skills, the aim, hypothesis, methods, safety, data presentation and analysis, conclusions and recommendations, and not particularly in that order. And the primary and the practical items will focus on the environment, monitoring of our resources, rivers, water, industry, and any other related phenomena. Then we shall present sample items. I have a sample item on the theory, and this is I think from construct 1. I see periodic trends. Yeah, this is from construct 1. And the learners are expected, I cannot read the whole of it. We shall supply these things and share them. And they are supposed to recommend improvements to the production process. Now, like the other members have done, then there's an item also, item 2, from the practical section. Now, the scoring of these items, I have just a sample. I don't know whether it is clear to our viewers. I have bases. I have 5 bases. And if each basis is the maximum score of 4, then this item will have a maximum score of 20. But, ladies and gentlemen, not all the items will have 5 bases. Some of them may go beyond, and therefore the maximum score of 20 for this item is not cast in stone for all the other items. However, the most important thing is that we are not providing responses. Rather, we are providing the rubric, how to judge learners' responses from the highest to the lowest. The person who scores in the first basis, interpretation of the scenario, for example, accurately explains the trend in atomic radius and ionization energy and connects it to the reactivity, scores highest. And then the other one explains both in a relevant way, but does not accurately, completely explain the trends. Then the third one explains the trends but does not clearly link them. And then finally, we have somebody who misinterprets the trends, mixes up the trends, or does not respond according to the scenario. For example, that according to one basis. And in that case, that person scores 1. Has a score of 1. And even misinterprets or presents irrelevant. I think I remember manager had said that, the manager explained this, why do we bundle them into 1? That we even know that even the current or the outgoing system, we have F9 ranging from 0 to something, maybe to 20. We don't have a special category for it. So whether they misinterpret, whether they have something very minimum about the task, about saying that ionization energy is changing, that one is the very basic. And then the others are also indicated downwards for the different bases. We shall share this information when we have finished the presentations. Then in the practical section, we are looking at quite many bases. That's why we were saying that items don't score the same. For example, one item in the practical, I will see bases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, around 8 there. And even some of them have sub-bases. The aim, the hypothesis, the variables. Now, somebody who identifies those ones and makes predictions scores highest. And then in that trend downwards, up to somebody whose aim is vague or ambiguous or not clear, and then there is no hypothesis, scores lowest in that decreasing order. So this is how we shall score. And then we have not provided solutions. This is not a marking guide. It is a scoring guide. Therefore, we have to judge learners' responses according to these levels. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention.
The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us. NCDC Journal invites researchers, curriculum specialists, educators, and policymakers to submit scholarly papers for publishing. The journal provides a peer-reviewed platform for high-quality research and critical discourse in curriculum studies, education policy, pedagogy, assessment, innovation, and related fields. We welcome original research articles, policy analysis, case studies, theoretical and conceptual papers, evidence-based classroom innovations. Submissions should contribute to strengthening curriculum development and improving teaching and learning outcomes. All manuscripts undergo a rigorous peer review process to ensure academic quality and relevance. Be part of the conversation shaping Uganda's education landscape. Submit your manuscript and contribute to knowledge that informs policy, practice, and national development.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I see one of the questions is about paper balance. Maybe I don't understand the question, but there is no paper balance in that case. All of the constructs contribute equally to the items, especially for the choice, the areas where there is choice. Construct 3 and construct 4, where 2 items are set, but candidates take 1. So there is nothing like one side being heavier than the other. There is something, is continuous assessment 20%? No, except for a few subjects like GP and clothing and technology, if I can remember very well. is that the general outlay of the practicals? Yes, that is, like for O level, that's the sample. The difference is the complexity. Are the papers going to be scored out of 100? Not necessarily. It will depend on the basis of assessment. Some criteria on how paper 1 and 2 will be set. Yes, paper 1 is theory, paper 2 is practical, paper 1 is theory drawn from all of the constructs. The distribution has been clarified. Maybe for emphasis, we are saying that the construct 1 and 2, constructs 1 and 2 will form items in 3 and 4. Constructs 1 and 2, yes, will form items in assessment objective 3 and 4. Then there is the question, duration of the papers, both, yeah, that one is subject to pre-test, but the proposal is 2 hours and 45 minutes for theory and 3 hours and 15 for practical. Wait a moment, maybe you move slowly. With the tasks submitted, both paper 1 and that one I have answered. With the papers, that long one, be submitted divided such that the learners is clearly instructed or asked on what they are supposed to respond to according to the basis of assessment, asking learners to explain the trend. Now, learners respond to the item the way it comes. This thing of teaching answers, I think, is not a good practice. Let the learners interpret the items and then judge the response according to the scoring grid. All of the items they are not structured items, they are all scenario based. Are items going to be essay structured or essay whatever? Items are all scenario based. So this thing of filling in, no. The tasks can be one or they can be many, depending on the nature of the item. There is no fixed blueprint for the item. Thank you for the questions. I don't know whether there are other questions, Mr. Moderator. If there are other items, so other questions, I would respond to them before I leave the stage. That one depends on what will the demands of the items, because if the items don't require periodic table, it is not provided. Provide some scenarios. We shall share some of the few that we have, but there is no limit to the number of scenarios that can be there in the real world. Section A is not structured. All of the items are a scenario. I seem not to see any new question, but we shall keep on responding to the questions. 20% continuous assessment, I want to repeat that is not there for majority of the subjects, apart from, I think, GP and clothing, if I'm not mistaken, clothing and textiles. The rest of the subjects, we are working in the old curriculum, we are not submitting continuous assessment. However, we want to encourage you teachers to keep on giving activities of integration so that learners understand how to interpret scenarios. So don't rush over. I think with that, I want to thank you for your attention. Just with a reminder that don't teach according to the order of constructs, but teach according to the order in which the topics are arranged in the syllabus. I remain Bonaventure. That was the voice, but representing Mr. Dorothy James for chemistry. Thank you very much.
Did you know that some of the science equipment used in Ugandan schools is designed and produced right here at the National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC? We strengthen the practical teaching of science and technology across Uganda's education system by designing and producing local science and technology equipment using locally available materials whenever possible. This approach makes practical learning affordable, accessible, and sustainable for schools across the country. Science equipment requires maintenance. STEP provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. Learning science should never stop due to broken equipment. STEPD provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. The department also conducts in-service training for science teachers and technicians. They are trained in proper operation, safe handling, servicing and repair, safe storage of equipment. Empowering teachers means empowering learners. STEP carries out research and development in educational equipment design to ensure that Ugandan students gain access to relevant, appropriate, and practical science skills. Innovation begins with hands-on experience. Behind every curriculum-related document lies the expertise of our print and production unit. The unit operates a state-of-the-art printing press capable of delivering high-quality printing and publishing services. By producing materials in-house, NCDC reduces costs and strengthens institutional sustainability while ensuring timely availability of curriculum resources. We print all curriculum-related materials, including textbooks, readers, and teachers' guides, supporting effective implementation across the education sector. Beyond curriculum materials, the unit also provides commercial printing services to the public, guaranteeing high quality, quick turnaround, and competitive pricing. Our services include posters and banners, flyers and brochures, branded letterheads, stickers and labels, and much more. With precision, efficiency, and professionalism, the print and the production unit brings ideas to life in print.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for your patience. Now we are going into art and design, fine art, and the specialist for fine art is ready, but that doesn't mean you don't continue submitting in your questions. In case you still have some, particularly to the subjects we have already presented, we will throw those questions to the specialist and we will get feedback. So allow me, without further ado, take you to the presentation of art and design or fine art by Muganga Christopher. Over to you, Mr. Muganga.
Greetings, members. This afternoon we are going to look at how art and design has been organized for its assessment at advanced level. Why we are here this afternoon is to make sure that teachers of A-level teaching art are oriented to the art and design assessment guidelines. And I know they are going to be sent to you or uploaded very soon. There are a few things which they are still doing so that you can get the guidelines and you read them page by page. But now my work is to orient you on those highlights that are very key to the assessment of the subject. And second one is to acquaint you with the modalities of the national end of cycle assessment and what are we going to focus on in those examinations regarding to art and design. Our introduction says that art and design at A-level needed a review so that we match the competency-based model. Remember what was done at all level. Learners must go with it, and then they advance to another complex levels of A-level for us to see that they have added on something for those 2 years. So the assessment guidelines are pointing towards the realization of the subject exit profile. What is it that we want to see at the end of the 2-year cycle of a learner who is taking the subject? Thus reads that a person who demonstrates creative, analytical, and technical skills to effectively communicate through diverse artistic expressions and utilizes a wide range of career opportunities in art for meaningful personal growth and national development in an increasingly interconnected world. That is the graduate you want to see after taking the subject for 2 years. What are the assessment objectives for art and design? They focus on the learner's ability to do those 3 things. The first objective, we are evaluating artworks within their historical contexts and diverse artistic expressions to appreciate production processes and contextual influences. Mark those words. Appreciate production processes and contextual influences, while we are focusing on historical art concepts, stylistic conventions, formal qualities, and those are the elements and principles. Those are the formal qualities, materials, the visual language to make an informed decision. So the second assessment objective, why are we assessing art? We want to evaluate contemporary Ugandan artistic forms and influence on cultural identity, community values, beliefs, systems and social roles by examining the linkage to societal needs, using visual literacy, understand patterns of stylistic adaptations, continuity and change in local contexts. And the last objective, to create articles through artistic conventions with the intention of communicating a message and or expressing artistic ideas that solves a contextualized problem. So those are the 3 assessment objectives we have for art and design. But the constructs, we say that all the topics we have in your syllabus of art from senior 5 to senior 6, we merge them into 2 assessment constructs. We have the first construct, art analysis, which takes care of critical analysis of different art forms from various art periods, while focusing on contexts, artistic expression, and communication in order to enhance personal judgment and make informed decisions. And second construct is to create and present artworks through the production process which effectively communicate messages or ideas for solving a contextualized societal problem. So these constructs are 2, but 3 assessment objectives. So we are sorry that AO should not be there on constructs. They are just names, constructs, not assessment objectives. So the topics within each construct are also labeled here or presented here. The first construct has 6 topics. Appreciation of classical antiquity, that is the Greek and Roman art, the influence of the Gothic art in Uganda, appreciation of the Italian Renaissance art, appreciation of the 19th century art in France and England, contemporary art in Uganda, and art in society. So those 6 topics are the ones which form the first construct. The second one of art making takes a lion's share because the subject is leaning towards production. So all the remaining topics, many as they are all under art making. And we are having them in 3 slates. The first one is topic 1.1 up to topic 1.7 as they are presented there. I can't read them. Continuing up from 1.8 to 2.5, and then ending with 3.6 from 2.6. All those topics are practical topics, meaning they fall under art making. Now, here I'm presenting the examination rubric. These are the guidance. This is the guidance we give for the art papers and what they are looking for. That we shall have 2 assessment papers for art and design at advanced level, secondary level. And the candidate shall be required to sit both papers. So you have to have a paper of art analysis and a second paper for art making. Paper 1 is the one now which is art analysis. It will be divided into 2 sections. Section A of the paper will focus on the analysis of art from a given historic period. The periods are as they are in the syllabus. So the item can pick on any period, while section B requires a critique or an appreciation of contemporary artworks in Uganda. So the focus now is Uganda. So the 2 sections will form one paper, and they will be adding up to the 100 scores. Continuing with the rubric, paper 2, art making. You can call it practical. This will involve the creation and presentation of various art forms which communicate intentions and meaning to an audience. Any article that is going to be done, any artwork that is going to be done must be communicating the intentions or the meaning to an audience. And this paper will consist of 2 items from which a candidate selects only one. So the paper will be divided into 2 sessions as it has been. But this time around we are seeing the first session, which has been maybe misused in many schools. This time around is very, very important, which is called the session or the planning session. It will take 1 hour and 30 minutes. While the session 2, the production session, will last 3 hours. So the items in the paper will become scenario based, and the entire paper will be completed within 4 hours and 30 minutes. While I'm saying that session 1 is now very important, is the reason that planning will contribute 30% of the scores, while session 2, which is production, will take 70%. So if your planning session is not well done, it will affect your overall scores at the end. I'm now presenting the sample item for the subject. We are bringing the narration whereby culture evolves as people adopt modern ways of living. And African culture is rich, reflecting human responses to the environment as an integral aspect of life. These rich traditions over time and are passed on to future generations through verbal expressions and practical demonstrations such as ceremonies and artifacts. The African way of life is rarely represented artistically. This lack of documentation may lead to the gradual loss of cultural information. It has become evident that many ethnic traits are fading away without being recorded in any form. As a result, current and future generations may lack the necessary references to sustain originality, ethnicity, and continuity. And our task is, as an art student, use the knowledge and skills gained in your study through an appropriate creative process to produce an original artwork as a solution to the challenge depicted in the scenario. So it is an open check to the test taker to decide where he wants to put his effort. Either 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, I don't know. It will depend on what the test taker has decided to do, looking at the problem within the scenario and the artistic demands required. Now, how are we going to score the items? We must have scoring rubrics, and these ones are going to guide the scorers when they are looking at the works of these art takers. So, at analysis, we is having 3 to 4 bases depending on the item. That is the interpretation of the context and the content, analysis and interpretation, expressing personal judgment, and the use of illustrations where applicable. So that's why I said depending on the item. Some items may not need to make your illustrations, while others you need to illustrate. So art making, we have 2 bases. There is ideation and production and presentation. So production and presentation is one basis, and ideation is one basis. Whereby when we say ideation, we have other indicators inside. That is the creative mind, whereby we are looking at the generation of the original ideas, the initial sketches based on a given task, the development of the sketch, and the refinement of the ideas. All those are going to be the ideation. That's why now in an examination, you are given a full hour and a half to do all of that. Then in production, that's when we come in for another session. You do your production and the presentation, whereby the learner is required to transfer the final sketches, to use appropriate materials and tools or technology, the use of elements and principles, that is the formal language of art, and then the finishing. So all of these are going to be inside those bases, depending on the task which is set. So every basis of evaluation has indicators that focus on assessment process, so that the assessment is very analytical. Now the sample scoring rubric, as is presented, gives us the 4 levels of scoring. And now the first sample I'm presenting is for art making, which is practical. And I'm now looking at that the bases. The first base is ideation, which is of a creative mind, or the way the art is planned. And it has 2 indicators. The first indicator is generation of original ideas. How do you come up with those artistic ideas? So that is the artistic mind we are talking about. The initial sketches, and they must be based on a given task. The second indicator is the development and the refinement of the initial concept into the final sketches. So all of that is the first basis. And now you have to populate it in 4 levels. Score 4 being the highest, going through the second best, the average to the basic. When you look at those words which are bold, meaning that they are giving you the difference in quality of responses. If the best gives consistency and generates overall highly original innovative ideas with exceptional creativity and relevance to the task, the second best produces the several original creative ideas with minor reliance on common or expected solutions which are clear and purposeful. So second best is also good, but not as good as the first one. But when you go to the score 2, generation is of some original ideas with the familiar or conventional approaches into initial sketches that show adequate effort and understanding of the task. the one at basic level, which generates one idea that shows limited originality, which is underdeveloped, into initial sketches, or they are just copied work, or they show minimal or no understanding of the task. So with the first indicator, it has gone through all the 4 levels. And the second indicator, how they develop and refine their sketches into the final ones, you see that the best one skillfully develops and refines the initial concepts into polished and final sketches following a coherent and systematic process. So the person who is scoring will see the story or the movement from the first idea to the last one, and there is at least a way of development that has taken place up to the last one, which is called the final sketch. The second best person will effectively refine the initial concepts and will show the good intention to detail and improvement between the initial and the final sketch, which are coherent and visually appealing. The score 2 will develop the concepts with moderate improvement and refinement in the final sketches that appear complete but may lack depth or strong visual impact. But when you look at the last one, the basic person will show no evidence of ideal development, or there are no refinement of the initial concepts. The first idea the person got is the only idea where he has put his effort, and the final sketches lacks connection to the initial concept. So that is the way we are looking at the quality of the work and how we separate their performances. Now that is the first basis. Look at the second basis. That is production and presentation. Now we are going to look at, that one is the transfer, the final sketches, that is an indicator, demonstrating outstanding understanding and application of elements, and then producing a high quality finished artwork. So those are 3 indicators within the second basis. And when you look at those bolded words again, the quality differs from the highest going down to the lowest. So when you look at the basic level, shows little or no connection between sketches and the final work. There are people who present work and the sketches are somehow being maybe attached after working, and the person did not put in any time and even thinking to show that he had to first do the sketching or the ideation, and then before he develops those ones. So there is even no connection between the work and the sketch. Those have been very rampant. So those people are going to be losing 30 marks from the total score. And the work is incomplete or missing with inappropriate use of materials, tools and techniques. There is minimal or incorrect application of elements and the principles, and the work is produced whereby it is not well finished. That is now the rubric for the second basis. And so going to the second paper, that is at analysis, presents a scenario. Kampala State Authority installs one of the contemporary sculptures in a public space titled the Stride, and that artwork I think is now common for people who visit Kampala. While the work is clearly displayed, many people do not understand it in general, and as a result, the sculpture is often underappreciated, and its intended message is lost. You have been asked to help bridge this gap by educating the community about the Stride sculpture and its significance in Uganda contemporary society. So in reference to the figure shown, the candidate is told to present a write-up of 600 to 800 words analyzing the issues raised in the scenario. So That stride is in Kampala, and it is for the contemporary artists of Uganda. And when you look at the sample rubric, talks about, here we have skipped the first basis, and I present only for the sample, the second basis, which is analysis and appreciation of art. The learner critically evaluates how effectiveness of the specific key features of production techniques, processes, and stylistic characteristics used in the work influences the final outcome and the meaning. So from the 4 scores up to the last, you will see that the levels or the quality of the work presented is very different, because this is now the analysis or art appreciation. And being an essay, it will be the output which is expected. So the learner should be able to look at all the elements within the artwork and analyzing why people maybe didn't understand the meaning or the significance of that statue in Uganda. But when you look at the highest person, which is scores 4, extraordinarily analyzes and appreciates how all the production processes, stylistic characteristics, he links the context in the task to the given situation with the utmost ease. Yet the one at the basic level, minimally, that is about 10 to 20% of the points that must be, or aspects that must be analyzed, are appreciated, and then the production processes or stylistic characteristics links to the context of the task to the given situation. So it gives us a very minimal understanding of the context and why that production has significance to the people of contemporary Uganda. And in my conclusion, I say that end of cycle reporting of learners' achievement will follow the numerical grading of A to E, describing the quality of performance on the 2 constructs of art analysis and art making. And then the examinations for A-level for art and design are pointing towards the realization of the subject exit graduate profile to assess learners' proficiency or competency against the subject exit profile, which states in red that we want to look at a person who demonstrates creative, analytical, and technical skills to effectively communicate through diverse artistic expressions and utilizes a wide range of career opportunities in art for meaningful personal growth and national development in an increasingly interconnected world. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and I welcome your questions after the break.
Welcome to the Nile English course, your guide to mastering English in a fun and practical way. Designed by the National Curriculum Development Center, the Nile English course helps you to build strong skills in reading and understanding, writing with clarity, speaking with confidence, listening carefully and critically. With exciting stories, engaging activities, and real-life examples, learning English becomes interactive and meaningful. Whether you're in class or studying at home, the Nile English course supports your journey to becoming a confident communicator, because strong communication skills open doors in school and in life. Did you know that some of the science equipment used in Ugandan schools is designed and produced right here at the National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC? We strengthen the practical teaching of science and technology across Uganda's education system by designing and producing local science and technology equipment using locally available materials whenever possible. This approach makes practical learning affordable, accessible, and sustainable for schools across the country. Science equipment requires maintenance. STEP provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. Learning science should never stop due to broken equipment. STEPD provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. The department also conducts in-service training for science teachers and technicians. They are trained in proper operation, safe handling, servicing and repair, safe storage of equipment. Empowering teachers means empowering learners. STEP carries out research and development in educational equipment design to ensure that Ugandan students gain access to relevant, appropriate, and practical science skills. Innovation begins with hands-on experience.
Members, we are having two questions here which we want to answer. Well, there's a question that how many papers do art have? I said we are having two papers. One paper is theory, that is art analysis, and another paper is practical, that is art making. Another question here is that shall paper one contain studio technology? No. We are now in the art analysis, whereby studio technology now has already been done at O level, and there is no more they are adding on, because after learning all what is being done as studio in the processes, now that one is going to be just an applied knowledge and information. There is no more content to add on. Is paper one having only history and art appreciation? Exactly, that is what it is saying. So those are the questions so far we have seen. We are waiting for other papers to come, and I thank you for listening. Other questions are welcome. Please present them so that we can clear these questions before you start calling in after here, wanting to be answered individually. Let also others benefit from your queries. This one is coming. Will pamphlets be provided again in the art? Now, I don't know what you call pamphlets, but I think this is the area where you get content for art theory. So I don't know who has been providing these pamphlets. So long as they are maybe needed to you, you continue using them if they are useful, but I don't think that we have pamphlets in art as a subject. We are having the sources where we get this knowledge and content, continue using it, and then the subject, the syllabus stipulates the books to use. Shall we have CA in art? We don't have CA in art. So that one ended with the old curriculum. Do we have any other questions coming? Go to the YouTube, please, and send these questions.
The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us. The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us. The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us. The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us. The Curriculum Tree magazine shares curriculum reforms, research insights, innovations, and implementation updates across the education sector. Just like a tree with strong roots and growing branches, our curriculum reflects Uganda's values, learning areas, and the competencies we nurture in every learner. Through the Curriculum Tree magazine, teachers, school leaders, policymakers, and partners stay informed, engaged, and connected to the national curriculum development. We invite you to read, contribute, and grow with us.
Okay, we have got some more questions coming in. Someone is asking about whether 3D artworks will be allowed. And we said now, for us, when we set an item, it is up to the learner to choose where he or she thinks can express himself better. And maybe just a general guideline is that the time they have of 3 hours, I don't think that someone can go into some of the materials which take so long. So that one now is common sense to get to know that what can I do within these hours and I finish my work. So there are so many other materials, if you want to do a 3D, which are not heavy and which do not take too long to dry. But I would not advise someone to go into the clay, to go into the stone when you have only 3 hours. And another person is asking about studio technology. Why is it in the syllabus? Now, not everything that is taught that is going to be seen in an examination. Some of the aspects or some of the content is just helping the learner to learn more and know more of what is taking place before you do an exam. So you have learned more with the studio technology, and now there is no more addition you're adding on to go to A level. But you make use of the information which you studied at O level to do this work. And that's why even in A level, there is studio technology in form of content, but not for assessment. You shall have no CA. Someone is asking about the papers. How many papers? We said 2 papers. Paper 1 is the art analysis. That is the appreciation and history. And the paper 2 is art making, which takes care of all papers that are practical. And the choice is for the learner, not for the teacher to start now dictating that you take this one and that one. It is the learner to say, I want to express myself better using these materials. Things concerning books are going to be answered by the manager, because they are cutting across why A-level books were not developed. Another one here talks about, I would like to ask if coursework projects still exist. We don't have courseworks in art, or even projects or continuous assessment in art is not there this time. Another one is asking about how scenarios are being set, especially in art analysis and also art making. Can we present composition as it has been in odd? No, we said they are scenario based. A scenario, you can say, a contextualized story which has a problem and brings in the content of someone. so that you can try to solve that problem using the knowledge and the skills you have for the subject. So that is the way the scenarios are going to be set, and we have given a sample, and even the sample papers are going to come your way in due course. Was prehistoric and art and Egyptian art ignored? Yet they are necessary. They are not ignored. That's why we say they are in the first construct, and we said they are going to pick on any period, because you look at the syllabus and how many periods were given. So the person who is going to set a task might choose the art of the Egypt, might choose. So because of those different periods, it will depend, because we cannot have a construct which has only a few items that within 2 or 3 years the assessment items are already used up. So they will be changing the art periods according to the years when they are setting.
I think those are the ones I can answer, and I beg to call upon the manager to come and explain more about books, and then from there you can add on if there are so many other questions coming our way. Thank you.
NCDC invites researchers, educators, policymakers, and development partners to participate in the preparation of the second International Conference on Curriculum Development, scheduled for August 2026. The international conference will bring together thought leaders from across the globe to share research, innovations, and best practices in the curriculum design, implementation assessment, digital transformation, and inclusive education. All abstracts and full papers will undergo a peer review process to ensure academic rigor and relevance. Support preparations for a conference that inspires innovation and drives educational transformation.
Yeah, thank you very much, today's presenters, for taking us through the different subjects of the day. As we come towards the close of today's presentation, I will start with an apology. We are not able to have history presented today. We shall present history at an appropriate time in the week, maybe tomorrow or another day. We request please forgive us and kindly take in our apologies. There has been a cross-cutting question about textbooks. Before I get into textbooks, it is important that you get to understand a bit of the background before we did the aligned or the advanced secondary curriculum. The advanced secondary curriculum is an alignment of what was in existence to the competence-based model to allow learners smoothly transition from lower secondary to A-level. In other words, we got what was in existence, removed overloads, removed overlaps, those which were appearing in more than one subject, removed them, and took care of the objectives by flipping them around to come up with learning outcomes, and then get the learning outcomes into competencies. In essence, what we have is a retouched former A-level curriculum presented in a competence-based way. And because of that, we are not producing new textbooks for all the subjects. We are not producing the textbooks because the content which was there in the old textbooks is still relevant in this advanced secondary curriculum. So for that, the main concern or the main adjustment is in adjusting the teaching and learning approaches to be more practical, to be more interactive for the acquisition of the competencies. But the content under it is exactly as it was. So for this one, we are not distributing textbooks. However, you also need to be informed that work on a complete overhaul of A-level is ongoing. Now, after the complete overhaul, that's when we shall get new textbooks that match new content. So with that, we come to the end of today's presentations, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow when we will be receiving presentations from literature in English, principal mathematics, biology, foreign languages, subsidiary ICT, and Kiswahili. Thank you very much for being a part of this online training. I wish you a very good evening and a great morning tomorrow when we meet. Thank you.
Did you know that some of the science equipment used in Ugandan schools is designed and produced right here at the National Curriculum Development Center, NCDC? We strengthen the practical teaching of science and technology across Uganda's education system by designing and producing local science and technology equipment using locally available materials whenever possible. This approach makes practical learning affordable, accessible, and sustainable for schools across the country. Science equipment requires maintenance. STEP provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. Learning science should never stop due to broken equipment. STEPD provides repair and servicing support to institutions to ensure laboratories remain functional and effective. The department also conducts in-service training for science teachers and technicians. They are trained in proper operation, safe handling, servicing and repair, safe storage of equipment. Empowering teachers means empowering learners. STEP carries out research and development in educational equipment design to ensure that Ugandan students gain access to relevant, appropriate, and practical science skills. Innovation begins with hands-on experience.